Hello and welcome to Adrian Sports Talk, the only show that brings you the Bulldog sports news from the athletes themselves. We're live here from Rush Studios on the campus of Adrian College. I'm your host, Ellen Stanton. Today we'll be getting to know two student athletes who are both majoring in communication arts and sciences. They have a lot in common, but they differ from the sports they play. One athlete plays soccer and the other athlete plays football. Please join me in welcoming my first guest, who is a men's soccer player here at Adrian College, Miles Masters Claiborne. So Miles, how did your team do this year?
We didn't do as good as we wanted, but we improved from last year, so that's always a positive.
And what are some of the goals that your team set to accomplish this season?
If I can remember correctly, we had 3 goals. One was to not lose a game at home, to make the tournament, and to win every tournament that we played in.
And do you feel as if you accomplished those goals?
Well, we didn't accomplish any of them, actually. We almost made the tournament at the end of the season. We had to beat Kalamazoo, which we did, and then we needed Olivet to lose, and unfortunately they won. So that we almost got that one, and we weren't undefeated, and we didn't win all of our tournaments.
And on a more personal note, you're a senior this year. How does it feel to know that your career is coming to an end?
I don't know if it's really hit me yet. I feel that I was I guess a little relieved just because, being a student athlete, there's so much I have to deal with, and now I have lots of extra time. But I just haven't grasped yet that I won't be able to play the sport I love competitively like I have been able to all my life.
And one last soccer-related question. If you could hang out with any soccer player in the world for a whole day, who would you choose?
Any for an entire day? That's actually really tough. There's so many I like. Probably Ronaldinho. Definitely Ronaldinho. Just because, I don't know, I watched him growing up, and he's always just been the best player ever in my eyes.
Well, thank you very much, Miles. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll talk to our second guest about the football program here at Adrian. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Adrian Sports Talk, the only place that brings you Bulldog sports news from the athletes themselves. I'm your host, Ellen Stanton. Please help me in welcoming my second guest, who is a football player at Adrian College, Brandon Neal. Brandon, how has the team done this season?
Well, thanks for having me first, Ellen. Man, what a season it was. Senior season, last one. The team, we did really well this year, actually. Couple hiccups throughout the first half of the season, but we ended up with a 7-3 record, and now, it's just kind of contemplating what's next. And now that we ended up 7-3, no playoffs this year, but we did end with a positive record and the most winningest team in school history. So it was awesome.
And what were some of your team and your personal goals for this season?
Well, this year we kind of want to get back to where we were last year when we made the playoffs, played Mount Union, took a tough loss to them, but now we kind of wanted to take it to a next level and kind of compete on a national level. Unfortunately, we didn't meet that goal. Another goal we had was to not lose at home, which we actually surpassed that goal. We ended up 5-0 at home for the first time in almost a decade. So that was pretty much our top 2 goals this year, and we met one of the 2, which was a pretty good year.
And now the other one that you didn't meet, how close were you to meeting that second goal?
We were actually about a game away. We dropped a tough one at Albion this year, which it was a tough pill to swallow because we lost by 5 on the last drive of the game, and that was probably, if winning that game probably would have got us into a chance to compete for playoff contention. But other than that, it was just that close. Football's a game of inches, and we came up just a little bit short, but ended up being a positive season with a 5-game win streak.
Well, now I've got to get to the personal stuff with you two now. Again, being a senior, how do you feel knowing that, going through your head, knowing that this is your last year as a football player?
It's interesting because as a football player, I've been playing for the game for about 16 years, and from Little League all the way up, it's been so competitive, been so fun, so much camaraderie. I think that it's going to be weird when it comes to that mid-August when we're starting camp and our first game and things like that. That's when it really starts to sit in that I'm not playing anymore. And now that I'm a senior and looking back at how many great memories I had and things like that. It's going to be tough to watch football nowadays because I'm like, I can't go out there and say I want to make that play and things like that. So now it's going to be more painful to know that I can't compete with my sport and I can't play it for wins and losses anymore.
And now on to a more fun question. If you could be any celebrity, who would you be and why?
That's a good question. Oh, man, I think about this almost every day when I wake up. It's just one of my favorite questions to ask myself when I wake up. Who am I going to be like? Who am I, kind of aspiring to be like? I narrowed it down to 3 people. I can't pick just one. I narrowed it down to 3 people. First one being Diddy. Diddy is someone, I strive to be similar to, and that's someone that's, very inspirational, a good celebrity, someone that has the drive and the leadership that it takes to be successful. Second on the list is Kanye West. Kanye West, probably the most influential person of our generation, hands down. Definitely is just by far the most inspirational person in entertainment. And third, just Big Sean, of course, because he represents the city of Detroit. He promotes the good in Detroit, and he's pretty much brought back Detroit by himself, and with a little bit of help from Dan Gilbert. But basically, Big Sean, Kanye West, and Diddy.
Now I have a little surprise in store for you all right now. Miles Masters Claiborne is backstage, and he's going to come out and join us for the next segment of this show. Miles, can you come join us now?
Thanks for having me back, Ellen.
We have some media of the both of you. When I show a picture of Miles, I'll ask you, Brandon, to make a one-line quote of what you think is going on in Miles' head at this time, and then vice versa for Brandon's pictures. This should be fun.
It looks like Brandon here, I think he's going to get an interception. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know how good he can catch, though, so he might drop it. It depends, but that's what it looks like he's going up for.
Definitely caught that one. Definitely caught that one. That was a big one. That was against 7th-ranked Wheaton, too, so that was a big one. Oh, this picture right here. I'm thinking to myself, and as Miles would think, as, being in the light-skinned family, it's just part of it being Miles like, oh, man, I have B. Neal's number on my back. So I'm just telling these guys to my right, like, we both have the same number, and that's why I'm playing so good today. That's what Miles is thinking in that one.
This one, I'm going to say...
Is that me or you? You kind of look like that a little bit.
That actually might be me. I don't know. Maybe they were tired of you in the secondary.
We switched sports that week.
Yeah. This one, it looks like probably the coach is signaling you to come off. Maybe, I don't know, he was tired of you in the nickel or whatever you guys run. I'm sorry, I don't know. You just weren't performing maybe, and he was just like, B. Neal, I'm going to have you come off.
Oh man, this play right here, I can see in Miles' I can see through his haircut, and so in his head, and this one, he's making a play on the ball, good play on the ball, stopping him. Looks like right around midfield there at Docking Stadium. But what he's thinking is that, I know I'm going to get a yellow card for this, and I know I'm going to get pulled after this, but I'm going to make this play. I'm going to definitely sacrifice one for the team. I think this game ended in a win, so you're pretty happy that your yellow card didn't affect the result. So.
Well, that was very interesting. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about what it has been like for you guys to be comm majors over the past few years. How has the course of the comm classes suited up with the time commitments of your sports?
I don't know. I suppose it's just the comm major is quite demanding, I guess I'd say. I have to come in, edit videos, edit stuff on the radio, a bunch of stuff like that. And then, not to mention mixing that with soccer and stuff like that, getting up for practice, then trying to go eat, sometimes not being able to, then going right to class, being tired from class, going to workouts, and then hopefully not being too exhausted to come do my homework, get it all done, and then wake up and do it all again. I don't know. I guess it's just really demanding.
And on my end, I guess being a comm major and then also student athlete, the department itself, I would say it's a big load. It's a good course load, and I feel like being able to get through this 4 years in the comm department is a good achievement for anyone, because there's a lot that goes on, and it's one of those departments where I think you are learning everything for the first time, because there's so much different material, so much different programming and things like that, and working with so much new equipment that you probably haven't used a lot on a functional level. So I think this 4 years, you really got to start so fresh that the build-up process made it feel like a lot of work, but it was just really more of a practical experience than most majors let you have. But I think when it came to play with sports and other extracurriculars, this department and this major I think works really well because they kind of tie into each other, and you can kind of schedule things that you want to do in this major along with what you want to do in the sports field or any extracurricular for that matter.
And what has been your guys' favorite comm class in the major, and why?
Favorite comm class?
Make sure you say the right answer.
Okay, yeah. Touche. I'm going to have to say Directing 1 was probably my favorite class, just because it taught me how to do stuff like this, how to interview, how to be on TV, how to produce shows, stuff like that. And that's kind of what I want to get into later in life. So I definitely say Directing 1.
I mean, I'm going to go off of that. I'm going to say any class with Dr. Steve Sheehan was probably the best class that this major offered. Hands down, he's very practical, good experience. All the professors are great in the department. Learned a lot from each and every one of them. So it's really hard to choose. But basically every class that I could use in Mac was the best class in this department. Any other class kind of get too much of a lecture. So I think that narrows it down to about 6 classes that you can really use a Mac for in this department. But I kind of learned a lot from each class, and the fact that they all somewhat tie into each other, being a small liberal arts school, I think that's the meaning of it. It made it easier for, I think, all of us to kind of connect outside of classes and come together and produce better grades and better work for projects and things like that.
And we have a clip of a project that Brandon created in his freshman year for DMP. Let's take a look at that.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here have gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggle here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who have fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from earth.
Now, Brandon, can you tell me a little bit about the process that went through with this project?
Wow, that took me back right there. What did I say? Now the kids say Throwback Thursday or whatever. Oh man, that process was long. It was tedious. Oh man, I think if I could go back and redo that project over, I definitely would, because that was one of our first big video projects as a student here. But looking at it now, I look younger and I just completely different. But that project took a lot of work and time, and that kind of gave me an aspect of foreshadowing what this major was going to be about, putting together that kind of project. It was, wow, that took me back.
And we also have a portion of a project that Miles created in Directing 1. Let's take a look at that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miles Masters Claiborne here in the new addition to the Merillat Sports Complex with Toby Ernst, the head strength and conditioning coach here at Adrian College. Now, Toby, could you tell us what you're most excited for about this new addition?
Yes, I am very excited about the amount of space that we're going to have coming from a 4,000 square foot facility up top. We're definitely going to have a lot more space down here to be able to do things in the proper form, as well as not be able to get in each other's way.
Excellent. Could you also tell us how this will benefit you the most as the strength and conditioning coach here?
Yeah, beneficial-wise, it's going to be a great benefit to not only myself as well as all of our athletes. Being able to do things in the proper form, we'll definitely see, I think, a lot for our athletes as far as performance-wise goes, compared to what we have to do upstairs with a limited amount of space. We're more of a circuit-style rotation where with the new facility we're going to be able to do things in the proper form as far as our power down to our auxiliary lifts.
Thank you, Toby. Again, I'm Miles Masters Claiborne here in the new addition to the Marilock Complex. Now back to you in the studio.
Now, Miles, can you tell me a little bit about this project?
Well, apparently since then I haven't grown at all because I think I'm wearing the same sweater. But besides that, yeah, no, that takes me back. That was actually my favorite class, Directing 1, like I just mentioned. We had to do a interview with somebody, and mine happened to be with Toby. And I remember specifically that we should have got people that were decent at least to interview, and after getting that, I was like, oh, Toby's not that great of an interviewee. But, you know, it happened to work out, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, that's all the time we have today. I'd like to thank my guests, Miles Masters Claiborne and Brandon Neal, for joining me today. I'm Ellen Stanton for Adrian Sports Talk.